The gavel. I'll have to look. Not that I can think of it. I think on there, that's somebody tells you this. Yes. I'll look. I'm laying my voice on the bench. It's finally. Here. Sorry, you know, yeah.
Doing good. There's some pain in there, but I'll be 1 week from surgery and walking around. I feel pretty good. Move.
Was that when Alan was there? I think it's before Alan, they might, or before Mike.
Yes.
Maybe a couple decades ago.
It's not, I need to do this.
It was good enough.
Never to say.
Anybody from board research or middle or see time where he's at? John, does the board need to move to the middle or see time where he's at?
You want to be in the middle? Charlie's not gonna, I don't think it mattered.
How you feeling? Sign your name. Yes. I'm sitting here.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
uh-uh.
Yeah. Howdy. Hi. Good.
You never got rid of it. Yeah. Where that song goes. Just kind of blaring out.
Oh, I don't want
In the breaks, right.
Is anybody in here like a smoothie?
I started laughing.
I bought one for the shopkeeper and they were gone.
And we got a nice smoothie shop in town.
Yeah, we actually have more than one.
Smoothie.
Yeah, thanks, but yeah, I have tea and.
Well, I know some people, either they're like, they're too sweet or
Depends what's in them.
they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
I'm gonna give it to them, I'll get it done.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You have the red, I have on the green.
I will keep them away from the side of me. Yeah. I'm trying to stay on this side, so
No, it makes sense.
until we get along.
Squeeze me in. I heard they were getting it at a different table, quite really.
Sonny, when are we getting our new tables?
I got out my man to make that two brothers.
Thank you.
Hey, Lee, how are you?
3 foot wide, 8 foot long.
Perfect, yeah, awesome. Well, there should be one more award. Maybe not. Okay. Gotta keep it perfect or.
You didn't get what I was saying. In July or June?
I didn't get it too.
Okay, so.
Water, I got one too.
Okay. So I was like,
I thought I remember getting it from you. I went and looked at all my files. I couldn't find it.
okay.
Thank you so much.
I got the draft one. I never got one that was signed.
It's fine.
I think it did. I didn't know.
Okay, I'll make sure I get that. I was just like,
Cause sometimes I get old emails, like if it's a new email and I'll be like, is this something else?
On that. To the county. Yeah, individuals supposed to have like 3 minutes. Rates supposed to have like 6 or 7, whatever. Like 30 people got to say something.
No.
They don't call themselves individuals. Except for now.
They all took that 3 minutes.
And they were listening and they were reading the same speech. Word for word.
Oh, well, sounds a little fishy.
They all got the same email like you just. That was funny. That was about to go. I tried. It was about the coal plant. Yeah, it was about the coal plant. That's how long it was. I can't say anything. Same stage. I guess it's good time to ask the agenda change. It's the only guy there. It's still the same.
Could be the same one.
But I think there's a duplicate on it and, then he's gonna ask you to.
Yeah.
Change an order of something.
I want to move the ordinance for the 25,000 up that y'all vote on. Move it before the bid opening. So that'll be in effect when we do that.
Yeah, that was item I maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that.
Move it up before the bid.
So like for a.
Yeah.
After the general public speaks.
Yes.
Stable's getting more wobbly than I went to push off one, I'm like, oh, I moved the table. Oh, God, did I have all this food that better not good? I had strong. Thank you.
We're going to call the August 8th, 2023, city council meeting to order. It's matter everybody's silence phones if you will. We're probably just let them prayer.
I have one value is, please. Lord, we come to you right now, Lord, as humble as we know how, Lord, to tell you thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for our coming in and our going out, Lord. Give us to this heart, Lord. Lord, I ask that you show the take the ones that don't have ACOs, Jesus. Lord, I ask you right now, Lord, that you decrease each and every one of us up on this podium, Lord. That we do the business of the city. These blessings that we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maybe roll call, please.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Landry. Yes. Councilmember Woodhull. Here. Vice Mayor Fisher. And Mayor Hampton is absent.
Okay, item number 3, approval of items on consent agenda. Approval to read by title only, ordinance 1031, approval to read by title only, ordinance 1032. Motion.
Councilmember Brian,
Yes.
Councilmember Landry.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitwell.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna receive any requests from the general public, any person wishing to address the council, give them 5 minutes. Groups or delegations to give them 10 minutes. You want to speak? Mr. Wallace?
I'm just studying, not committed. My name is Sonny Lawless, 501 Bucket Road. I'd like to ask the council one thing. The rumor on the street is this a monstrosity they building behind the Holiday Inn have pulled no permits to do building in this city. We understand also that the Swanee River Water Management didn't know anything about it. That's the rumors. That's what I'd like to ask you, council. We put y'all in office to run our business for us. We need to find out something on this, and you're the people who can find it out. You know, I'll be able to look at the stuff. I pay over $5,000 to build two little buildings. If they hadn't paid a nickel, something's wrong. So I'd like to see if we can find out something about that. That's the rumor on the streets. That's all I like to say. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, we know they paid $43,000 in permits to the city. Because you asked that question,
Yeah.
does the city get to keep any of it? I said, no, it goes to the county. So,
It's apparently become an issue that they did not permit stormwater runoff for Swanee River. I don't know.
That's what it looks like. That's part of the site plan approval process, and it doesn't look like it was done during that time, but the site plan was approved.
Say it again.
Having the stormwater plan through the water management district is part of the site approval
Right.
process through planning and zoning. It doesn't appear that process was done during the site plan approval. That was back in,
Okay. That's something you can check on.
it was,
Okay.
I mean, it was
Well-
approved back in April of 22, I believe.
It was approved.
The site plan was approved by the planning and zoning board, but it did not have the, what do you call it?
Water management permit.
water
Yeah.
management.
That way, well, we used to,
Not every site plan needs that, but
we used
this
to
one
approve
did.
contingent on getting that permit. It was how we used to do it all over. Had been doing it a long time, somehow they do it now.
Yeah.
Well-
And once we do, we get something in the paper.
Mhm.
It's not in the-
There's gonna be an article in the paper, I got a feeling.
Be something better for it.
Okay.
Has Swanee River been over here, you know?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I was told they were on their way 2 weeks ago, but I never heard anything after that.
So they've been made aware.
Here last week. I met with them last week.
The builders. Aaron, the builders.
Yes, SRWD met with them last Thursday.
So it's on, the Swanee River's aware of the situation. Okay.
Very good. Okay, we're gonna go into bids now, and we're moving one item off the agenda, item 6I. To. Before we. Item 6I is a public hearing and final reading of ordinance number 1031. An ordinance of the city of Perry, Florida, amending financial matters of the city to require council approval for bids over $25,000. Repealing ordinance conflict herewith and providing an effect. You're moving that. We're moving it to, right, it is. We're moving it to between 4 and 5.
So for a,
Yeah, that's good with it. Yeah.
Okay, just so I'm clear. The first paragraph right here, is it stricken completely?
if it's marked through, it's straight.
It's not marked, the whole thing is not marked through.
This is dealing with purchases between 5,000 and 25,000. So I had to readjust some of the wording in that, and also to make it where it's open at a council meeting. The bottom is all brand new for purchases over 25,000.
But I didn't think we were asking you to open them. If they weren't, but all, at least 25.
We're still gonna open them at a
Yeah.
council meeting.
You didn't say anything different about that.
Yeah.
You're just going to then, it's for the public transparency that they're all gonna be open for you, but you'll only have say so on the ones over 25.
Okay.
That's how we understood it.
Yeah, I thought it was when you were saying.
Yeah, I thought we were just gonna open them over here over 25.
You
Because
don't-
we talked about it slowing y'all down so much.
You don't know what they are till you open them.
Huh?
You don't know if it's over 25 till you open them.
That's
Well, that's
true.
true.
Well, we usually have an idea.
You got an idea.
Good point.
I thought about that too, and I wonder why you don't know.
If it does cause hindrance to the operations, then you can always revisit this and adjust as needed.
Now, the hindrance was opening only 2 per night. 2 per council meeting, that was a different
That
issue.
was ever an issue.
Anyway, have any discussion on this? Final reading? Anybody from the public have anything they want? Ask or input about this? No, I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Landry.
Yes.
Councilmember Woodball.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kim Train.
Yes. Okay, on to item 5. Bids, any bids that are be open in the council meeting and public forum will be done at this time. And we have 4.
We have 4 bids and one, the solid waste,
Right, we have the fuel system, church's bathroom remodel, Walker's park painting, exterior of the building, and pole barn.
you want to do those first?
C and D.
You want to do those first then?
Yes, sure, gets first on the agenda, sure.
Well, yeah, because then the other one's a result. So, and I'm going to read this to be applicable for all 4 that we're opening tonight. I will only be reading out the vendor and the amount of the bid. There will be no discussion at this time about any bids that are being opened. These bids will be given back to the purchasing agent and then to the department which the sealed bid is for. The city reserves the right to reject any and all bids. The city reserves the right to select the bidder, waive any informalities, or to accept the bids deemed to be in the best interest of the city. Any errors in bid submission are the responsibility of the bidder. All righty. First one's fuel system. And we have 3. Bid summary from FJ. JF Petroleum Group. And the fuel system upgrade and equipment. First on quote, $68,158 with them providing the electrician. And 64158 without the electrician.
That's what fuel management system.
And next was EPI Construction, Inc. And it's to remove key lock, remove dispensers, all that, with electricians, $44,617, without electrician, $42,973 and 78 cents. Next one's from Origin. Let's KC Petroleum, Inc. And with electrician, 66,436, and without 55,911. KC Petroleum. Here's this one. Daniel wants to collect them later. I'll bring them over in a minute. Next one, painting exterior of Lothridge Park. Looks like there's just one. Yep. And it's from Razorback LLC. Includes all block walls and exterior restrooms and entryway into the interior. Exclude the city will provide paint, rollers, brushes, any other necessary supplies, 18,000 even.
Then that's what the city's plan, all.
Yeah, since we're tax exempt, it kind of helps. And there was no bid submissions for either the equipment shelter, pole barn, and Jerkins bathroom remodel. So,
That's right.
yeah, so that's that. And now I guess we can discuss the results of the solid waste bid. Y'all go ahead and run with it.
See, we got the,
You have the summary I read. I could read the summary if you'd like.
we got Waste Pro, we got 2 Waste Pros, Deep South Sanitation.
We have one waste pro, and the one is labeled the current rate.
Okay, current rate bid rate, I'm sorry, I didn't even highlight it.
Do you want me to read my summary?
Sure.
All right. All right. This is just my summation. Our committee never got to meet because of my cold and then John's surgery. Waste Pro is lowest, but they're even lower than what they're currently charging. Deep South Sanitation is basically bid what Waste Pro is charging now. There's just a very small difference. We do continue to get the calls with problems regarding Waste Pro service. We're getting the calls because their customer service line isn't effective. August 3rd at 4:45 p.m., I decided to run a test. I looked up each company online to get a customer service number, just like a regular person would. Waste Pro still has us under Tallahassee, which I thought was supposed to go to Dixie. Anyway, I called the number, and after making a few more button pushes, I was then told I was 13th caller in line. I hung up. Next, I called Deep South. After 2 rings, a pleasant lady answered on the phone, and I thanked her and I said, wrong number. My summation, we do not have to take the lowest bid. We want the best price and service for our citizens.
What about cost?
No, because I know they'd answer and they're a higher bid, so contacting them's never been a problem.
They. Okay. Oh, 2 yard. You talking about, when you're selling it, that crap tires, you mean overall.
As a whole, I took bottom lines on this because that's what they did last time and said that to you. So if that's the way you all are deciding it, that's fine. Because they all, and you can see Waste Pros, even prices from current to past, some are higher and some are lower, so they're all over the place. You know, but
Well, these thousand pods, only the small ones are cheaper on the bigger ones, unfortunately.
and if you remember me saying several times that there's a bell curve on a lot of the ratios of it, and I said many times with Pops, they favor the smaller mom and pop businesses with the lower prices, and Waste Pro tends to give your bigger companies the cheaper prices. So that's just the way they operate, and this is the way, and Deep South seems to be right in the middle, so,
So they're kind of doing an extract, if you will.
yep.
That's what I call them, shallow extract.
But you know, when you're talking Pops with 35,000 weekly versus Deep South 33,000 and Waste Pro 31,000, you're talking just $1,000, 1,300, you know, a piece. So I mean, you know, to me, it's about quality.
On the moving into Dixie. That was only gonna happen after we agreed.
And that's possible, but I know she's sitting here, so.
But that's why I had moved.
And that's likely.
That's correct.
So what? This says that you have a recommendation, staff has a recommendation.
Penny has a recommendation that we go with someone that's gonna give us good service. And to me,
You
wait,
guarantee that?
can we
I
guarantee
can't.
anything?
There's no guarantee.
Nope.
Who are you with?
Deep South
Deep
Sanitation.
South. Where are y'all in,
We're out about Austin.
Valdosta?
It's me and my son, we run the company and we work there on a day-to-day basis.
Well, we haven't heard from you guys. We've heard from Pops and we've heard from Waste
I'll
Pro.
be glad to come up and introduce myself and tell you what. Would you like me to? I'm Gary Scarborough, I'm the owner of Deep South Sanitation. This is my son back here, Trevor Scarborough. Me and himself and my wife and my youngest son, we run the company. We started in 2011, October, be 12 years we've been in business. If we have to, me and him still get on the trucks. I drove one last week, 4 days while gentleman was on vacation. We do what we say we're gonna do, and that's the way I built this company. But this would be a big addition to us, be appreciated. You're not just another thing. We're big enough to handle it, but small enough to give you personal service. You all would have our cell phone numbers. You can reach us anytime. And what we was looking at, if we got this contract, we're gonna staff it with put an office here, satellite.
What other cities and counties do you service now?
We do city of Payhara, Quitman, Brooks County, Echols County. We do all of VSUs as far as commercial service. All of our state universities, the roll-offs and their dorms, everything. We've got, I think, 28 front load dumpsters there. We do 6 days a week, along with commercial and Payhara as well. We do the paper mill, which has got 20 some odd dumpsters there. Yes, sir. We do that 3 days a week. Like I said, Echols County, Lowndes County is subscription. We do it there.
You mean as a whole or just?
No, as a subscription, along with waste management, Lowndes County. But we got 50% of Lowndes County now, residential.
One of the bidders said that if we had a truck that was broken down, which we do frequently because they're old and got some ordered, but they won't be here for a while.
Our oldest truck in our fleet that we run every day is a 2018. We have spare trucks for every application that we do, whether it be
Okay,
roll
because
off, commercial or residential.
they were offering to let us use one of their trucks if our trucks were broken down with their driver.
Oh, with
our
your,
driver.
I'm sorry, with your residential.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So you could offer that also.
We got spare residential trucks, just.
And you have a driver that can.
Yes.
Because you don't.
If I have to do it myself or my son,
Well, you don't want our drivers driving your trucks.
Not
but
really,
You're
no,
gonna need
ma'am.
our people to show you where to go.
that's exactly.
Okay.
You'll have the can trucks, you'll have these.
We have those, we have the side loads and we have rear load trucks.
Well. Yeah, looked at it a little different. I looked at it as what is the best interest or the most. And that's Waste Pro. Being 108 versus 45. And you take care of these problems with the contract.
You're asking me, can we take care of it?
Pardon?
You're asking me? if-
No, I'm just.
Okay, okay.
Where do you get 108? What are you talking about? 108?
There's 108 with Waste Pro at the lower price. There's 45 with pumps at the lower price. That's 153 customers. So 108. Got a big long word, utilitarian or something. Right.
They were.
And I think I can't do anything but go with Waste Pro. But the problem, we just have to deal with in the contract.
Well, the provisions were in there and they were just never adhered to with the $125 a day
That's
penalties.
right. We didn't,
Our city managers didn't want to enforce it.
right, we didn't do our job.
But my question is too, if you tell me you're gonna do something, you don't do it. Shame on you.
Right.
And if I go along with it a second time, shame on me.
Well, the thing is, nobody get over Waste Pro.
They call me.
Exactly.
And then they call me.
And by the time they get
Yes.
to y'all, they're getting a rate. I don't blame them. But
Yeah, they're upset. The people.
they were 13.90.
And like I said, we could pick up the phone right now and call Waste Pro's number, see what happens.
You're gonna have complaints no matter who it is.
That's correct. And you can't guarantee perfection, but the thing is,
No.
they've had their turn.
But I can honestly say it's 10 times worse than it's ever.
And the customers are not happy.
No, they're not.
The customers, they want different.
And if they have to pay $1 or $2 more a
They've
month,
even said if they want-
we've had people with the restaurant owners, school district, they have to load up their own personal trailers and then go dump it at the county dump site, and the county's paying for it. And that's baloney.
Mhm.
This may or may not be relevant, but I was a customer of Deep South for a year in Valdosta, and I've never heard
But
about
it
one
takes
complaint about.
most,
Yeah,
But
most of
usually they have a lot of-
people.
And Pops is just as good. They're just a little higher.
Yeah. So what you say?
Yeah.
Well, we benefit picking the highest.
Franchise fee. We make more money on the highest one you pick.
But it's still
That's a good
negligible.
point.
I want to pick so that the customers are satisfied.
Yes.
That's what
Like
I-
the Waste Pro wants to talk. You recognize the
Sorry.
Waste
On the way,
Pro.
so wants to come.
Okay, if I can.
Sure.
For the record, my name is Dana Milner, representing Waste Pro. All the comments and all the observations. I've been up here before speaking to y'all. I have no doubt all of them are true. And it is highly unfortunate that our service is from the Tallahassee office is at the level that it's at. I understand it's all the same company, the same umbrella, totally understand that. But we had said, and thank you, council, that, you know, if we were fortunate enough to have this awarded to us again, we would move your services to the Family Springs Division. At the last meeting, you met the division manager, Trip Lancaster, 5th generation here in this area. I included in our proposal all the municipalities that his office services. And I was certainly hoping that the city had reached out to them to get the references from them. I understand your customers are very unhappy right now. And however we got here, I can't speak for the other office, but what I can speak for is I can speak for Tripp in his office. And I know one thing that Ms. Penny brings up is communication. You will have my cell phone number, you will have Tripp's cell phone number, you will have his operations manager's cell phone number, you will have the office cell phone. There will never be a point where you won't be able to get in touch with one of us within the same day or within 24 hours. Now, this week I had a medical situation with my mother. Ms. Penny wasn't able to get a hold of me until the next day, and I apologized for that. I was sitting with my laptop in a hospital with my mother, so I apologize for that. But I can speak for our office. We are in communication with all of our customers. We want your customers to be happy. I don't like hearing, because it reflects on me. I worked for Waste Pro for 16 years. I wouldn't have worked for Waste Pro for 16 years if this was the true representation. We respect whatever decision y'all make tonight. I just want to be sure that you know that when Waste Pro above Tallahassee found out what was happening, they brought Tripp and I in. And if we are fortunate to get awarded this contract, we will transfer everything to the Family Springs Division. We also included in our proposal that we will be either replacing or refurbishing all the dumpsters. We put that in writing. You can hold us to it. I have no problem with Miss Penny having direct communication with me. I answer phone calls 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. I answer calls on Sundays. That is what I'm here for. My apologies are not enough to make any of this right or better as to what's happened here. But all I can tell you is going forward, what you should expect and what I expect from my employees. Council Burns is correct. I want to see those liquidated damages force in the country. That's what they're there for. That is for you to be sure that we're doing our job. I don't normally bring this up, but I'm going to switch hats for a second. I don't know if y'all remember, I am also commissioner of a city, small city in Alachua County. So I know what it's like to sit on that side, and I know what it's like to get phone calls from customers, no matter what vendor. I understand more than most people do. And what I also know is that it is our responsibility as elected officials to do what is in the best situation, taking in the whole picture when we're making those decisions, not just one part of it. And I know it's a big ask, but I really would ask that we have one more chance to show you how Waste Pro really can be. Because if I remember, and I believe Councilmember Burns remembers, there was good service that came to the city of Perry at one point. Again, I can't speak for Tallahassee, don't know what happened. And I really don't care, because what's happened is it's put me here in front of you. But we want to make it right and make it better, and we want what's best for the city of Perry. I encourage you to talk to, even after your decision tonight, talk to the references that I put into the proposal. I put those in, I put everything in there. I wanted to be sure that you knew that there is good service from Waste Pro. I'm here for any questions. And again, I really thank you all for your time very much.
You said earlier that Tallahassee knew of the service problems down here,
No, well,
that Tallahassee knew.
corporate, I said. When corporate
Right,
found out,
corporate.
when corporate found out that there was a problem, that's when Tripp and I came into the picture.
Okay, and you said you didn't know what the breakdown was, and you didn't really care. I care,
No,
because
don't
if that is the attitude of
No.
Waste Pros management,
No, I do care. What I'm saying is that I can't. It's happened.
yeah, I
So I
understand.
do care. Of course I care. What I care about is going forward, what happens.
I understand what
I
you're
don't
saying.
want what happened in Tallahassee to happen going forward.
I don't
So-
like that attitude from your management, that if they knew we had a problem, why didn't they address it way before now?
I can't speak for Tallahassee. I just know that when corporate found out, that's when you saw Tripp and I come in.
I'm just saying that doesn't speak well for the
And
government.
Tripp, well,
Years and
and
years,
that has to be addressed.
years and years ago, weren't we under Fanning Springs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then we got moved to Tallahassee, they say we're not gonna get moved back to Tallahassee
Oh, no, not after this.
after this, but we're still under Tallahassee even after all
No.
this.
Well,
And they know.
if it's awarded, they're moving. I mean, obviously, if it's awarded, we're pulling out, so,
I saw a news article, I say an article, news thing on out Tallahassee, what, 2, 3 weeks ago on WTXL, about a 2-minute news article about the same exact thing. What's going on here is going on up there.
I don't work for that office, I don't work for that manager there, so I don't want to speak for them.
But why would, we've had these problems for business card.
It's a couple of years,
Yeah,
it's a couple of years
It's
old.
been going on
You're
for a long time. and
You're right.
We got left under Tallahassee.
You're right. Why it was not addressed sooner? Oh, I wish I had answered.
Why don't we wait until we get a?
Yeah.
Contract.
You're right.
Yeah, before you get a contract, before you
Right.
from this, you know,
You're absolutely right. You're right.
I don't get that at all.
No, and it was wrong, and I'll, full transparency.
When they
It
know
was
the
wrong.
problem, they should have moved immediately.
Absolutely. I can tell you Tripp and I don't operate like that.
We knew it was a problem.
But we were being told that things
I know.
were being done.
Yeah. I don't need.
I know.
They even had a fellow go through to every business in the city and talk to him about this and assure them that things were gonna get better.
Waste Pros.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. We moved on.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So do,
Motion?
I mean, do we make a decision on?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want to strain it out anymore. We already had.
I don't either, we need to do this.
I'll entertain a motion at this point.
I made the motion for the sanitation. Deep south.
Deep South.
Do we have a second?
Right on the gold pot.
Second.
Councilmember Brian.
Yes.
Councilmember Landry,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodfall,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Yes.
We need to get a contract.
Excuse me?
We need a contract.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be in contract negotiations and we'll make sure we have that fee in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna be,
My next question.
I don't see it to be much different than the previous one, but yeah.
How soon can y'all get started? Or how soon can y'all start, how soon can y'all get started?
So they have a contract.
Well, yeah,
Well,
be careful. We don't have a contract now.
and look what a mess we're in.
Yo, I mean, I'm asking how soon you figure, maybe,
January 1.
Oh, Lord.
Quick. But that's how quick we can get that many ducks. We're gonna provide all that.
Well, then we go down to the next one. Well, we could go to the next one.
Did they have a child for the next one?
October.
Waste frozen, can you pull it out tomorrow or?
Sir. Absolutely not.
You don't live in Tallahassee, so unless they were under.
I have the ear of corporate.
Sorry.
I have the ear of corporate. We will not pull out tomorrow. We will not make transition to property south.
Or,
We've never done that.
Could I ask you to do something?
Sure.
Talk to your driver. And tell your driver. He needs to slow it down before he has a big problem.
Will do. Will do, yes, sir.
Thank you. And now, 6:30, that's Shauna Beach, Taylor County Property Appraiser, discuss the tax roll. Welcome.
Pass these out to you too, so that you have it. Or can y'all see that? I'll pass it
We
out.
can see it and then she'll definitely.
Okay. Afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Well, you go sit down. I'll mess with it, all right?
Thank y'all so much for having me. For anyone, I think I know most everyone here, but for anyone that doesn't know me, like they said, Shauna Beach, I'm the property appraiser for Taylor County. And today I just wanted to chat with y'all, bring y'all the tax roll, let y'all in on a little bit of what we do in the property appraiser's office. As a Taylor County property appraiser, it is my statutory responsibility to discover the market values set by activity in the real estate marketplace and assess property accordingly. Each year, the Department of Revenue reviews our tax roll to ensure our values are in line with current market trends. The consequences, this is actually not a lot of people know this part, but the consequences of a disapproved tax roll would cause every homestead exemption to revert from $25,000 to $5,000, along with the loss of the protective Save Our Homes assessment cap. Furthermore, property owners would lose their right to appeal their valuations to the Value Adjustment Board. So it is my continued privilege to ensure this roll is approved every year so that our citizens are protected from these serious consequences. This packet includes information gathered from our current and past year's tax rolls to better serve you in your determination of this year's tax rate. So, having said all of that, if y'all have any questions during this presentation, y'all please just raise your hand. We'll be glad to just dive into the weeds and get right down to it. So please just stop me if you have any questions. So,
TPP.
what's TPP? First question, that is tangible personal property. So that is anything that is not real property. So businesses, they have equipment in their business that they use. So as far as my business goes, I have a hauling business. So that would be a front loader, that would be an excavator, that would be all of the equipment, a computer, all the equipment that I use for my business is considered tangible personal property. And the business owner returns a tangible personal property form to me every year stating every piece of equipment that they have. So it is self-reported form and that's how we produce that taxable value. The real property is the ground and everything that sits on it, permanently affixed to it. So that is what real property is. And then for your 2023 city taxable value, 67.8% of that is real property and 32.1% is tangible personal property. Any questions? Any more questions on it? Ma'am?
CA.
CA is centrally assessed, so that is all railroads. And of course, it says 0.1%, so those are the railroads that the Department of Revenue gives that information to us, those values to us each year, what the railroad values are. Page 3. We've got our 2023 real property taxable value breakdown. So this is a breakdown from page 2 of all of the real property. So we've got commercial makes up 42%. Improved residential makes up 51%. That's all of your single family residents, your mobile homes, your properties that have residential buildings on them. Then your vacant residential makes up 3%. And agricultural is 1% and other is 2%. Other is governments and institutions that are non-exempt or even utilities.
What, vacant residential?
Yes, so that's any property that's vacant, but it's not considered commercial. So say if you just have a lot next door to your house, and
What
it's not,
about a vacant house?
sir,
A vacant house?
nope, that would be improved residential because because the property itself is improved. Improved meaning it has a building on it.
What if it's not habitable?
We don't differentiate between whether it's habitable or not. When it actually considers a value, it's not whether it's being lived in or not. People buy properties whether they're lived in or not. Quite often, it doesn't really make a difference on our values. Page 4. We've got a breakdown of the improved residential parcels. So we just keep on breaking it down, So we've got 87.7% of all the improved residential parcels in the city of Perry are single family residents. That means brick and mortar stick built homes. And I just kind of wanted to make a comparison of that for the entire county. When I presented this to the county, that was 40/60. So y'all are 87.7 for single family and only 12% mobile homes. I think that has a lot to do with some of the zoning regulations, has to do with some of the subdivision regulations, things like that, that not the whole entire county as a whole has compared to the city. And then of course, 0.4% apartment and condo, which in the city in the county was quite a bit greater. Okay, and then breaking down those improved residential parcels, we've got 60% of those are homestead exempt, and 40% are non-homestead. So it doesn't paint up an exact picture of people who reside permanently here, because multiple people can have not just one home, but multiple homes in the city of Perry. But for the most part, it says about 60% of your single family residents and your mobile homes are permanent residents and homestead properties. So yeah, it's a pretty good amount. Let's see, any questions? Okay, let's get down to the numbers. Page 6. Looking back at last year, the 2022 final taxable values totaled $306,120,032. This year's preliminary numbers, $341,944,223, for a total change of $35,824,191 for a percent change of 11.7. And then I kind of want to go into details about the real property and the tangible personal property. So you see that change of real property is around $21 million. That was a pretty direct reflection of the real estate market. Like I said at the beginning of the presentation, I must respond to that real estate market through the qualified sales. So I look at those qualified sales throughout market areas, whether it's a neighborhood or it's a certain area. I look at those sales, and based on those sales, I have to change those values to reflect that market. The Department of Revenue does the exact same thing. They look at those qualified sales, they come up with a value, and I better meet that value pretty good. Or like I said at the beginning of the presentation, I can have my role disapproved. And so far, my roles have been approved every year. So tangible, around 14.6 million increase. I said I wanted to really, when I was looking at this, I said I wanted to hone in on what that value, how that value was created. And 13 million of that value was super fun, honestly. And a lot of people may not know that tangible personal property, our equipment, well, if any of you have equipment, you know that it depreciates. So really every single year, if you don't have that new capital investment in those businesses every single year, it'd be depreciating, right? So not only did y'all not depreciate, it actually increased $14 million. So overall, just not just SuperPuff, but multiple businesses, what it says, they're investing capital in their businesses in the city of Perry. So that's a good, healthy observation there that businesses are investing. And so,
Is there a minimum depreciable value?
no, it varies throughout all different types of equipment. So the state gives us those index factors and then a depreciation scale, and then based off if it's mining equipment or if it's office furniture, it's different scale. Yeah, right. No. Yep, no. It stays there. So does it go very low? Yes, it does, but zero's not found usually. So no, but it does depreciate every single year. And if you're not investing the new capital, then it depreciates. So this is a direct reflection that people are investing in their businesses and buying new equipment. So any more questions on that slide? Okay. Page 7. The city taxable value trend. So this is quite telling of the real estate market. In 2019, we saw in prior years that this market value seemed to stay pretty the same. You know, we had in 2007 the real estate boom, and then it fell, and then it fell and kept and then stayed pretty stagnant through these years. And then in 2020, COVID, the real estate market, it just boomed, and we saw every year that influx. 2020, we had around $259 million. 2021, $274 million. 2022, $307 million, and in 2023, over $342 million. And it really was. If someone told me last year, do you think that this is the height of the market? I probably would have said, absolutely, this is it. You would go sell it, absolutely. But it's obvious I don't have a crystal ball, because the people that did buy last year were making profits every single month, even up to right now. Every single month they've still made profits. We had a record sale in the county last year. It was for a residential sale was 1.2 million, and they sold it again a year later. I guess they enjoyed it for a year, and then they sold it a year later for 1.2 million. That gives you any indication of the market. So it's it's a boom. So I don't know when it's gonna go, but right now I'm not really seeing anything in our sales, so. Any questions?
That place you were just talking about, was that in the county or in the city?
No, that was in the county, you know, but
It was on the coast.
it was in Steenhatchee, yes. Let's see. Value of new construction. You saw here in 2015, 2017, there's a couple outliers of new construction that some of the businesses here, the industries here in the city of Perry built new construction, and that's why you see some of that graph going up a little bit. But in 2020 to 2023, you kind of see that steadily rising. And again, that's a reflection of the market, but also supply and demand. So people said, well, all these homes that are on the market, they're either valued so high, I can't afford them. I might as well just build it, which the cost of construction was very high as well. But the supply and demand, supply was low, and it continues to be low. So it has really spurred a new construction where people are building houses. If they can't find one to buy, I'll just build it. So that, and 1.5 million of that new construction was super up for this year for real property.
For this year. Said for 23,
Ma'am,
for this year, 23.
for 2023, yes, ma'am. Page 9. So this is the breakdown, taxable value from market value. And I really like this page. I think most people fall asleep during this page, but for me, it's a real reflection of what our office does. So we break it down from market value, which is the very beginning value. So when someone calls and say, hey, what is my property valued at? And I say, well, first of all, we don't set the value. We just assess it for tax purposes. But if we could, this would be around 85% of the value. So that total value in the city is $643,487,099. And then from that amount, we start deducting classifications and exemptions. So here we show all the agricultural classifications, and homestead caps, non-homestead caps come out of that total amount. Does anyone here have a question about the non-homestead caps and homestead caps and want me to explain that? Or is that another snoozer? I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's deducted from the market value. So then we get the assessed value. And then from the assessed value, we take out all of the exemptions. So the homesteads, the additional homesteads, and tangible personal property exemptions. So just like we talked about earlier, those tangible personal property accounts, every single account gets a $25,000 exemption right off the bat. It really helps those smaller businesses that don't really have a lot of capital, don't really have a lot of equipment, not have to pay such high taxes. All of our government exemptions, institutional, widower, disability, daycare, and disabled veterans exemptions, for a total of over 159 million in exemptions. And then of course, a taxable value of over 342 million.
You've got second homestead.
Yes,
I thought you could only have homestead exemption on one.
great question. You were paying attention. You didn't go to sleep. I am just saying, usually people just zone out. So I'm glad you were paying attention. No. So on every home, say you have one home and that's your homestead. So you'll get a $25,000 exemption on the first $25,000 of assessment. The second $25,000 is fully taxed. And the third $25,000, you get a second exemption except for school taxes. So if your home is assessed at over $75,000, you get that full $50,000 exemption. So it's not technically another homestead. It's an additional $25,000 on your homestead.
Okay, and also you said something about property would be assessed at 85%, what,
Yep, so when we assess property, we don't exactly use, say if a home sold for $100,000. We wouldn't assess it at $100,000, we would usually come in at around 85,000. So our assessed value isn't the absolute sales price or the highest market value, it's around 85–90% of the actual value.
okay.
Yeah. And that's called the level of assessment. And that's the same thing that we have to compare to with Department of Revenue. And in order to be approved, that level of assessment has to be over 90%. Great questions. Anything else on that page? Okay, page 10. This one, again, I've been talking about sales because they're what drives the entire market. The number of qualified sales, you see there where that real estate boom hit. COVID was 2020. Everybody had to stay home. They said, yeah, this is, a lot of states locked down. My theory is Florida stayed quite open and it had pretty good views. So people said, I have to be home. I at least want to have a pretty view. So everybody moved to Florida. Here we are, 2021. The sales went up and that market started. Well, then everybody started flooding the market and then supply went down. And you see that the sales increased for 2022, but the sale price increased. So yeah, the sales you saw went down, but the sales price didn't. Then one thing that, we just do need to point out for 2023 is that we have not had the number of qualified sales. And it looks like we don't even have, if we were to continue this year and just double that right there, it still wouldn't be close to 2022 sales. So maybe the market's going a little bit, but like I said, that's not a direct reflection of the market because just because the sale number is going down, the sale price has not really gone down whatsoever. So that is the end of my presentation. Do I have any other questions, comments? I am all ears.
Or like that.
Yeah, pay tax.
He knows he does. He knows he does. Yeah, part of that.
Everybody knows he does, 'cause he tells it.
He does.
Thank y'all for having me. Again, I'm always here if y'all have any questions whatsoever. It's been a pleasure working with John as the new city manager. He is always a phone call away, and I very much appreciate that, Penny. Always there to help. She can make the trim process easy so that we can get this information out to taxpayers. So
And I'll do this first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
Whatever they vote on.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Before that big train.
Okay.
This certification of taxable value, we can take care of at our next council meeting.
Penny.
We're doing that now.
Yes.
But we could do it then, couldn't we?
No, sir, I actually
No.
have to send this information. I
That's why she's got to get it to the printer tomorrow.
need to print it tomorrow. Listen to him.
So the calendar got a little screwed up this year.
But I do have a question about this in the budget. I'm looking at our budget. We've got a number in there for tax revenue.
I swagged it on hopeful what you'll vote on tonight.
But where is it on this form? What I was trying to figure out.
On this form. Actually, why don't we go to the next, let's talk about trim. I did pull out the CRA dollar, so that's why it's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would be on the back side of your form 420 MMP, and you do the back side
Proposed,
and the 2.033
where,
million dollars.
where are you?
Your 420 MMP, it's now maximum. If they didn't have this back in the day, Bill,
Yeah.
this is an added form. But it's line 19 on 420 MMP.
I'm looking at line, what again now? 919.
Are you on the NMP? Right here, page 3.
Yeah, page.
Oh, well, no, I'm saying, I see that.
Uh-huh. And then that number minus the CRA.
No, that.
What did I put on here? Yeah, the 33,000 minus the city part of the CRA. I took out of there.
If I,
If you take this number,
how much is that, 15?
no, if you go to CRA.
55?
And the thing is, this doesn't have to be, this isn't being voted on tonight anyway.
Oh, I know,
It's
I was trying to
But
follow it.
make sense, we'll go to our CRA, do the fee, which this is two-sided, kind of.
Yeah.
But it should be this amount, where does it say city,
19,
the 21?
I mean, I'm sorry,
Is that city?
21,
If you have,
569.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll try
It-
to see.
and if it does, if I made a mistake, I'll fix it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But we're swagging it right now so we can get a grip on the numbers, because nothing's in hard stone right now.
Right.
The only thing we have to get in hard stone, but we probably need to have the vice mayor close the Shauna's part and move on to this item officially. We jumped the fence.
You know, 6A.
I don't know, what's 6A?
That was
Yeah.
the stage.
Okay,
Okay, item 6B. Deanna J. Stewart, if I pronounce your first name.
yeah,
correct.
we're not talking about this till after Diane speaks.
West Florida Rural Water Association to present the revenue planning presentation. That's the next thing necessary.
Good evening. As stated, my name is Diana Stewart. I'm with the Florida Rural Water Association. Before my colleague Andrew comes up to present our findings, I just wanted to update y'all on a couple of things. Number one, we deal with operations staff a lot, but you may not know who Florida Rural Water is. So I just wanted to let you know that our mission is to work with water and wastewater systems in every phase of operation. We are a non-profit, non-regulatory association. Okay, so we're not here to tell you that you have to do this. There's no regulation on this from our side. We're just here to present our findings because the city asked us to do a rate study. This rate study that's being presented tonight is one scenario. Due to time constraints, this is a draft. Okay, we are not asking you to adopt this tonight. This is just one scenario that is available to you, and it does not change your existing rate structure, which I would suggest that you do. Okay. Right now, your current rate structure is charging your low-end users much more than you're charging your high-end users. So my suggestion would be that we focus on that a little bit more. That what we're presenting tonight, as I said, is just for your information to show you what would be needed if you stick with the current rate structure that you have. And Andrew Green is my colleague who's going to present that to you tonight. We also have our supervisor of the asset management program. If there's any questions associated with that, we're all here to answer your questions afterwards.
Good evening. Get to the next slide. Diana just pretty much went over this whole slide here. The items included for this rate review, including the FY22 audit, the 23 budget, current customer usage, and current capital improvement plan. And the O&M expenses, CPI, consumer price index of 4% was built in for 24 and 3% for each year afterwards. On this graph, you'll see water revenue requirements. If you start at the bottom of the bright blue, that's going to be your O&M expense. Next will be your debt service, capital, and then transfers.
What's O&M so that they know what?
Operation and maintenance. The rep, back up. The red line you see there, that's where you're currently at on revenue. The dotted line are recommended increases in rates on water.
So we're gonna need to go up over $500,000. I'm reading that graph correct.
That's kind of what they want you to put away between water and wastewater.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in the next slide on what, breaking that down
It
a
was
little
on this
further
side,
here.
that's what I was.
This is breaking down the water revenue requirements a little more. The operating expenses, debt service, transfers, and capital. You can see here, on your existing rates, you have a surplus this year of $175,000. But next year, your capital expenses go up and you're in the hole. It's around $664,000. Then at the bottom, you'll see the green and the red. At 24, if I recommended increases, that would put you at a negative $211,000. And then it brings you back into the positive the following year. Any questions on that slide there?
Are you saying the increase in revenue for 23, 24, and 25, 100?
452, 100, yes,
And then the next year it will be 858, 9?
yes. Those built-in increases year over year. Right now, we're only talking about 23, 24 on what we'll show you on the recommended increases in rates.
You say, okay, year 24, 25, we're gonna go with an additional 858. Or is that adding, or then adding to the 450?
That's adding to the 452.
Okay, I was starting to learn some big millions down here. Per year, I'll just verify that.
Y'all are able to go to the next slide or. And here's your wastewater. Color coded the same way here. Red line is where you're currently at in revenue. The dotted line will be recommended increases. Next slide will break that down farther for you. In wastewater, we're slowly bringing you out of the negative into the positive, as you can see at the bottom here. This year, you're looking at about $243,000 in the red. And even with rate increases, you're still over $500,000 in the red next year. We don't have it in the positive until 28, 29. A lot of that is for transfers went down on wastewater, but you have a lot of capital on wastewater.
What criteria are you using for the revenue, the increases in revenue?
So we have put a study together. We use what the city, the FY22 audit and the current budget. And we added in the capital. And to fund your capital, this is where you have to go with your rates and with the transfers.
Revenues coming from your existing customer base.
Yes.
And what you're currently charging them.
Okay, I guess I'm talking about the projected revenue.
That is based on your current customer base. And then we've applied, and what we're saying needs to be increased to that first customer base in order to meet the current revenue that's on the screen.
There's a percentage increase that we.
From 1 year to the next.
1 year to the next.
And it also goes on that 5-year capital plan.
Yeah.
They look at that, they look at a lot of stuff. So it's very complicated. And so any future projects in there, they anticipate the year it's going to go online and build that into the cost. And then they also look at the replacement cost of all these things that are in the ground or projected what's going to be 10, 20 years from now.
And all of those expenses go into your capital expenses. This slide here, you have your unrestricted fund balance. As you can see, you have, at the beginning of the year, you had just over $2 million in reserves. End of this year, you should be around 1.9. That's 329 days for reserve currently.
That's in water, right?
This is overall water and sewer. On the bottom graph, you can see the dotted line is the 270-day target range. Solid line is where you're currently at. So the lowest you'll be going with the recommended increases on your reserves would be around 162 days of reserve. And that would be in 26, 27 if you do the recommended increases. As you can see, by 31, 32, you're back up to over 1 year, well above the 270 days. And that's if everything stays the same. You don't have any questions on that slide, we can go through the next one. This one here is just an example of a 5,000 gallon. If a customer uses 5,000 gallons of water a month. Currently, they pay $71.20. With recommended increases next year, it would be $87.23 if you use 5,000 gallons of water. That would be for water and waste. The water charge would be $42.54 and the wastewater $44.69. Starting on the next slide will actually be the rates, so you can see what it would increase to. These are your current rates for water and waste. Inside the city and outside the city. So currently for residential, for water base, it'll be $15.75 and wastewater is even $20. In your current tiers, 0 to 2,500, 525, and then from 2,501 to 5,000, it drops to 263,000. Then on the next slide of it, those rates for 24. So your base for a residential will go from 1575 to 1890. And the wastewater will go from 20 to even 25. Usage tier will go from 525 to 630. The second tier will go from 263 to 316. The usage on wastewater would only go from 315 to 394 per thousand. And then on the other side, you have the outside of the city limit rates.
So you're, the larger users are going up a greater percentage?
Since you bill them based on meter size,
Yeah. But
it's the same percent, it's the same percentage for each.
because I thought you said something earlier that you were suggesting that we.
I said I would suggest that, but this does not do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is as is how you are right now with your rates. In this area.
And what's the proposed increase again? For this, according to this? Or we haven't gotten there yet?
The percentage increase?
Yeah.
Water 20,
What was 20?
20, wastewater is 25
Percent increase.
percent increase. From 1575 to 1890, 20%, and from the 20 to 25 for wastewater would be 25%. And then it was the same in the usage tiers. This one here is, this will be your, back it up a little. These are your sewer low accounts. This would be the increase on these. Currently 3/4 is 35.18 and we'll look to 43.98. Have any questions?
We don't get grants for that.
The city has it. So they. Right.
I'll get your copies.
Here's the problem. Well, first problem is people in this community or any other small community can't pay it. But we have in the last, I don't know how many years, have a recommendation of increasing rates. And we do, we've increased those rates. Guess what we do with it? We spend it. So we're we're absolutely no better off today than we were. Yeah.
Got to be set aside.
Well, I will say, it does look like you've lowered your transfers a little bit, which has helped you on the drinking water side. And currently, your rates are great on the drinking water side. It's the transfers that hurt you. So our recommendation, is just showing you where you need to be if you're planning on funding all of those transfers. As far as the asset management plan goes and the rule that you've all quoted, you all know, it does require that you raise accordingly to be able to cover that. What they're concerned about is they want to make sure that they're going to get their money, okay, that you're covering the debt requirement. All right, and according to this, you can. Okay, according to that chart, you can based on your current drinking water rates. Wastewater, you can't. I mean, wastewater, they're very low. But on your drinking water, you're in good shape. Now, if you only transfer what's left over, you don't have to raise your drinking water rates. But if you're going to transfer and you need to transfer all of this, you're going to have to raise your rates to be able to do it because you're not going to have the money
Transfer at that rate.
at that rate.
And what I've done this year, and you all could refer to this summary page of your budget thing. And if you cross them, stand next to you, so you can see it. And of course, this is just the first one, the water department's right here. And we have 1.5 million surplus. This is without doing any, paying a little taxes type of thing. But we're able to transfer 400-some thousand to the sewer department. Yeah. Anyway, I've transferred 400-some thousand to general fund, 400-some thousand to wastewater, and that still gives us $500,000 in our savings account for water, and that creates sewer 400,000, which are a little bit more than target numbers.
But we've applied all of that to this.
From this year.
Those are the numbers that you gave us that was being transferred from, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is 23, 24.
But these are just, I think it's not the same number.
They're not the same. They're not the same. I did better. General fund got about 600,000 in the current year. And, but anyway, I tried to clean this up a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah, I should say the wastewater went up. There was no transfer last year in wastewater, so it went up 122, but at 23, there was 18,000 transferred from wastewater.
Yeah, it's usually peanuts, yeah.
And then we've got about 1,081,000 that was transferred from water. They're saying that's going down to what?
The only place water's gonna transfer to is sewer, which they're custom, so that's okay, that doesn't count. And then the only, some 400-some thousand is gonna go to general fund. Yeah, 457,000. Yeah. So
Yeah, if
it's
you-
cleaning up a bit.
Yeah, so if you can keep cutting those transfers or at least transferring what you're making, you're good. At least until year 26, And that's when the red line, you know, your capital is going to run into your overrun red line of what you're making. Now, that's just
That's just
the
right.
water side, that's drinking water, okay? Wastewater, you're not, you just are making some of your capital, but you're not going to be able to make all of your capital with your existing rate. Your wastewater is a big focus, but as I said, this is just the draft, and this was, you know, something we were trying to put together for informational purposes for you. But it would not be a recommendation that we would make that you do this. We would need to do something a little bit better. There's some questions that we still have on some of the data that we received, and we need to get that cleaned up. We can give you a clear picture of a recommendation that we would suggest you make.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Well. Take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Am I okay with that?
Is everyone's head hurt? Welcome to Disney World County.
I was gonna say. But yeah, just keep that in mind.
Right. There's. That's pretty normal. How much of this person?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
No one will be working.
This was been. That one there. Well, this. You think we need to take that time? Just get back on
Yeah, we're gonna start working on that. Because we don't have to sign on this today. The previous meeting, I had that. We're going to see about they got a big payment.
Yeah.
In little taxes.
We really
To extract money from it. Yeah, well, we could assess management. All the, you know, his time. Yeah, and we explained.
But anyway.
I don't understand. the technical taxes usually there. You know, it's like, I mean, university and they transfer us money. Each year. Enough to cover their property tax, like that.
Well, what's learning is like, you get, water utility trades, you're gonna. What would be a reaping contact? So it's pilots from payment or taxes.
Right.
And so, you know, then they make sure we should connect like, yeah. they can pay
Andrew, look,
$400-some dollars. Transfer it, so that becomes part of their cost. Thanks.
All right.
Y'all are free to go.
Mark?
All right, agenda item 6C. Thomas Jeffrey, on gas utilities and regarding EP gas payment, caps, executive action being necessary.
He called me earlier and said he wasn't feeling good, wasn't gonna be able to make it, so we're gonna move that to the next meeting. Yeah, but I wanted to bring up one thing while we're on gas. I can find it. They're having their board meeting this Thursday. And they're recommending City of Perry.
How did he send you enough?
Yeah. Getting there. Oh, no. They're recommending for the next fiscal year that the City of Perry's service charge go from 35,000 to 62,000,
Which is a 70-something.
78% increase, when everybody else is getting
And I
38.
don't
50.
know why.
I don't either.
And the thing that I would like to point, because after you told me that this afternoon, because that's talking about blindside, and that's passed along to our customers. I wonder if that's because of that agreement with the GP gas, if that's somehow piggybacked onto us.
He tied a little bit of that we're getting that money back that we
That's
weren't.
baloney.
So they're gonna increase us higher than some of these other ones.
No, because that goes to our customers. And the little, we got it, and he was gonna say, we got you for 4 months, $56,000, which is fine, but that was to be understood to be to go into the general fund or just regular gas department. Because if we're paying 60-some thousand and we're taking in 100-some thousand, we're not making, it's not worth our time.
I don't even know what say we have in that with them.
We have a vote down there.
You don't go down.
Hadn't yet. That's,
Well, I don't think it's fair that we're getting assessed with GP stuff.
No, we don't. Well, the percentage is way above what others were, the other percentages for the other places.
There's a few that are high, but the thing is, I don't know what business is going on with them either.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's different is this GP deal. That's supposed to be no skin off our noses. All you're doing is gonna make about $100-some thousand a year. Well,
Yeah,
They're saying different.
I had to question that when I brought it up. I don't know, it's just all free money.
yeah, free money.
like start going from 30,000 to 41. We're going from just a little bit higher to 62.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's.
Same there, 30,000 going to 41.
That's terrible.
It is.
Yeah, 77.9%. I don't see anybody else that high.
There was one higher, but it's a
Well,
lower.
percentage wise, it's not higher, but
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Yeah,
But they might have some kind of deal like that going on as well. For somebody out there, especially Jacksonville, I'd say they're very industrial.
See, was it Jay? Good guy. Lake City.
Yeah, but
Lake
still,
City still not quite yet.
Well, it's only 8.3.
their meetings are usually what, off noon in there in Gainesville?
not sure. So it's 2:30, I think, Thursday. Yeah, that should be on the
Yeah,
first.
well, I
Virtual meeting, yeah, August 10th, 2:30.
oh, virtual, there you go.
We object.
Yes.
Yes.
What it works.
Because I think that the GP thing is, that's fine, but maybe we need that separated out and we can get reimbursed from GP or something. Or they can get reimbursed from GP, because they told us that this is just free and clear money, and that's wrong.
Over and over, that's what they said. Over and over.
He did tell
Never
me,
meetings.
he said they have a separate pot, like a dividend they pay back out. It's not guaranteed though, that we should be getting like 26,000 back from that.
No, this is the fees that go right to,
I know, he said you're getting this because they wanted to make their entire budget covered by the service charges.
and that's what they do. I get that.
They said these commercial ones aren't guaranteed money to them because if the commercial people don't pay them, they don't get the money, we don't get the money. So they wanted,
Go to their income statement, if you can get to it.
did you see it up there?
No, no.
That's more like it.
Projected was 166 and they're already at 296. So they're way ahead of the game.
And you do, well, yeah. Yeah. Service charges should be. Where's the extent,
Take the highest line of the whole thing.
service charges almost double.
Yeah. Yeah, 2.4 mil.
We need somebody to go represent us, and I don't mind going.
It says it's got a virtual meeting
No, I'm talking about it
in person.
whenever.
Yep.
Had it on there, how many votes?
I think council's got to appoint whoever. I think.
No, you used to go and I got tagged to go, and then with Bob, we just quit doing that. But nothing was like that.
Can a council member go or does that?
Oh, yeah, anybody can do it, public people.
Okay.
So what does this mean? Member voting,
How many votes, I think.
Yeah.
Perry gets 4 votes.
Count me in.
Does that mean one person counts 4 votes? Or is that 4 votes?
Wow.
4 people?
Total votes 4.
I'm saying for one person cast on votes, that's what I was.
Big users get more votes, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, and they bumped us to a big user and they're wanting to charge us like that, but that's not, that needs to be Perry 1 and Perry 2. Separated.
Yes.
Well, let's hook up to the meeting. So
Let's do it.
I don't know if I don't know if our 4 votes out of 87 will change anything, but
Well, we can speak our mind that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the agreement.
I mean, I don't mind them getting that much money or rebilling it from GP, but that should not go on our customers. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
you know, that's something we pay by check, so to speak.
that's something
We-
gives straight to the customer.
We bill it's parsed out monthly on the bill.
No, I mean, but we,
We pay them. Yeah, they gives us this
Yeah.
super complicated bill. It's like 8 pages long.
see. Yeah,
The old saying, bills.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know what all the junk on there means on the bills. It's very complicated
That's why they give you 8 pages.
to further confuse.
Yeah, figure this out.
But you know, there was a service charge in there, and used to be, we added it in, and it was a couple $1,000s a month, and in the winter time it would be more, in the summertime it'd be less. You know, to kind of go with the ripple, but this is just wrong.
Well, who can cast the votes?
I think I'm a board member.
Well, yeah, he's the city manager or his designee, so I mean,
So the one person does cast off.
I think that's the way it works.
I think that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Thursday. No.
Probably the size of gas.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Thursday.
And we're see this deal where it sells to GP and they're using it as gas. And that's the little $100,000 a year that we get. If your 62's got to come out of that, it's
Yeah,
not much of a profit after all.
print me one of those out if you can.
That,
You know, anything else on that, Adam? Now we'll move forward to agenda item
Or hot water.
6D, council to consider setting tentative millage rate for the city of Perry for fiscal year 2023, 2024. And take any actions deemed necessary.
I'm recommending that we go with the, if you look at your 420 MMP, just to let you know, back in the day, they didn't computerize this state till about 8 years ago. So this all used to be calculated manually, and there's like 7 or 8 more sheets that are involved in the whole process. So Bill or myself would have to dig some numbers. But anyway, this form now is your maximum millage. And so I like to go with the majority vote because that's just 3 out of the 5. And since we do have so much more property value, this is a lower millage rate than we currently have of 6.5 and change. And the rollback would be 5.7 and change. But I suggest we go with line 13, which is 5.9431. So it's less millage and we get about $56,000 more. And this is just the ceiling. You can always go lower at another meeting, but we must establish the ceiling tonight.
Motion to go with the vote.
Second.
Councilmember Brian,
Yes.
Councilmember Landry,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodball,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Yes.
And you said go to the rollback, is that considered a rollback? What you asked for, I see.
No, it is not.
Your motion was to go to rollback, I'm just telling
Did
you.
you say rollback?
You must certainly, that was the motion.
Yes. So the rollback's 5.77.
No, you want the 5. That's what he said. Rollback, and I just want to make sure you go.
Thanks for that. I said the maximum majority, which is line 13.
This is what she's doing.
5.9. It's $56,000, so I don't really care.
Okay. Reject that motion.
So we need to undo that vote. Motion to undo.
You withdraw your motion?
What did you ask us to do?
We need you to establish the ceiling of what trim rate we're going to do. And my suggestion is that it's number 13, the majority vote, maximum millage rate is 5.9431.
And that's what you
Yeah.
said, wasn't it? Bill?
Yeah, for 5.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're moving that forward.
I thought it's just.
We're okay.
I thought that's what it says, but Aaron does have good ears. So.
That's what.
So the motion is to go with any suggestion.
5.9 and change, yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
rollback, folks.
It is not it's a little bit more than the rollback, but it's a lot less than what we,
line 11 is a rollback. We're going with 13.
line 13.
Do we have to have a second note and a?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we have to vote on
That's
this.
it.
On the taking back.
So you made the motion for the 5.9.
No, we need
I mean,
to
sorry.
reject.
We don't have to do a call now.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
So we did. You
Okay,
had
what
the
is
first
the
motion.
current rate?
The current rate is 6.5374.
Okay, so then you're going to 59431, which is a rollback.
It is a lower millage rate, but it is not the rollback. The rollback would be 5.7790.
Like it's rolling back to me.
Seriously, these are a trip. So.
But that's
We're starting.
Motion to rescind that.
second.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Landry.
Yes.
Councilmember Woodball.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. Now, motion to millage at 5.9431.
So,
Councilmember Ryan's,
Yes.
Councilmember Landry,
yes,
Councilmember Woodball.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Yes. And down to 6F, pursuant to city charter section 5.02, city manager to officially present tentative budget for the city of Perry for fiscal year
wait a minute, wait a
Did I
minute.
skip over one?
Yeah,
6E,
we need a date.
I'm sorry. Agenda item 6E, council accept public hearing dates for the fiscal year 23-24 village rate and fiscal year 23-24 budget. And take any actions deemed necessary.
School district is a little memo that we put in there. The school district and the county are both having something on the 12th of September, which is our normal meeting date. So y'all need to do something, hopefully that Wednesday or Thursday.
We cannot do it on the same night they're doing the kind of meetings.
For the simple reason, just to educate y'all, say you're paying in 2 or 3 districts and you want to complain in all of them, you need the right to go to that meeting. And object increases,
So what is the other meeting besides the school board?
the county.
Oh,
We're low man on the totem pole with that.
Yeah, last option.
And a lot of times they do remember and skip the Tuesdays, but sometimes for whatever reason, we're not so lucky.
So
So we're talking,
26 is okay.
The 26th is fine, which is will be the final vote then, so y'all have to have everything made up in your mind. Kind of.
so are we talking having a special meeting just for the budget, or are we talking about moving the whole meeting?
I'd say just move the whole council meeting to a Wednesday or Thursday.
I have a conflict on Thursday. I do not have a conflict on Wednesday or Monday.
I do not either.
What dates?
The 13th is a Wednesday.
And the 11th is Monday.
September.
Which one?
The 11th is the magistrate meeting.
What?
The 11th is the magistrate meeting. The 4th is not-
Is it the
So Wednesday, the 13th.
The 13th,
Labor Day weekend.
5 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 5:00. So we're saying the 14th?
13.
The Wednesday.
Yes,
Oh.
Wednesday. Regular meeting time.
I've got plans somewhere along there, but I'm not sure what date exactly, so.
You're out voting.
And they just can't make everything fit in a perfect slot, and then you get outside your meeting.
You can do the Friday if someone wants to do Friday. I know, but
I'll definitely not here Friday.
Okay,
so
well,
I'll matter.
just suggest.
Is it
Thank you.
possible to vote it the week before on a Tuesday? The 5th?
I think it has to be after the 8th.
Okay.
There's some little window.
Say the 13th and at 5 o'clock. Okay.
Yes.
They gonna vote on that or just?
No, I mean, vote on it because I got to put on that trim notice.
All right. Have a motion. No. Have a second.
We're changing a regular meeting schedule. Yeah. Anyhow, motion.
Councilmember Bryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Landry. Yes. Councilmember Woodball.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ketchum.
Okay, now item 6. Pursuant to city charter, section 5.02, city manager to officially present annual budget for the city of Perry. Fiscal year 23-24. Council may take any action deemed necessary.
Want me to go with this bit, John?
Sure.
Because I've been working this mostly. It's certainly easier for me, and he's been involved in, and he has some wishes that I'll incorporate into next meeting's version. But if you look in these 2 square boxes, no capital outlay numbers are included in this. And there's no discretionary tax numbers involved in it, because those are usually to go pay for the big ticket items, and we already know that between discretionary and ARPA, that stuff's gonna get covered. Okay, and then if you scroll over to the right side of the page, the big box puts the new stuff in there. And as of this date, I've incorporated a bit of an increase to Levon. It's been overlooked a few times, so we felt the woman needs her due. And then on-call pay, which y'all voted on the other week, is a new thing. And like it says, no capital outlay using ARPA money, approximately 2 million. No discretionary used yet. And there's a little asterisk by that. If you go down to the bottom of the page, it does tell you the discretionary tax according to state paperwork is $1 million. So that's pretty nice. It used to be like 750,000. So
How do you justify? And I'm assuming that's more than 3%. How do you pick out a certain employee, say they're worth more than the rest of them?
well,
I did that. She
Uh,
works,
that's
she
the
works,
question.
she works for me. She does the job, 3 different roles for us. She handles our certification for our officers, make sure they're up to date. She's quartermaster, has all ordering and everything for the agency. She handles correspondence for me. She actually does multiple jobs. She's doing more than just about anybody else I know of in the city. She deserves it. I put in for it before, it was never approved. I'm trying it again. She deserves it for what she does.
Same question.
And I understand, because I value her, and it was my choice to say she needs an increase, and I recommended it, and I think she needs.
Well, how much of an increase? What is it?
I can't remember what I
I
proposed.
got it too.
But she, in my opinion, she deserves every bit of it.
Why did she not get it before then?
I don't know. You know, I don't approve the budget, was just recommended. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what happened in the past. But, you know, I value her. The city should value her as well. She's very valuable for what she does for me and the city.
Sometimes
And
you're
she does more than just for the police department as well. She handles a lot of stuff outside of the police department as well. She has organized many things outside of the police department for the rest of the city. So it's not just she's stuck over there with us, she does it for everybody.
And she also deals with a lot of human issues, even people that are seeing some of the bad
Yeah,
things in life.
You like human issues.
No, I mean, people that have had deaths and horrible things go on, and she'll take people and mom them, and they,
I can
while
tell
they're
you,
carting dead bodies away. So
unfortunately, in the past, when we've had some major incidents occur in the city, when there's no officers at the office because they're all out dealing with it, you know, she's been at the office holding it down and making sure things are running and calling resources in.
Where's the code enforcement person at?
it's in the basic police budget. It's
Is
not,
what?
it's in code enforcement. It's in the general fund under protective inspections. Yeah. We just kept it under protective inspections. And his salary's 34,000.
Our health insurance, if we got a good number on that, you know?
That is what the number I have there is the one that was quoted us. And I think John's exploring some options.
It's going up 9.5%. 9.5%.
It's horrible.
What happened to general liability insurance, property insurance?
I don't have those numbers yet for workers' comp or general liability. If you see darker spots on here, that's because I don't have a good number. So I'm swagging it, you know, off of trends and
Been trending way up.
yeah, I know. Just like fuels, I trend that up as well. And,
No additional people
no,
in the bond, the only one above the 3%.
yes.
Maybe not there.
Can we afford 3% for everybody?
Yes. We've been doing it. Yeah, in this
I know
budget year.
You've been doing it and we've been in the hole. That's why I'm asking.
No, we're not really in the hole. It's just, we're living within our budget. But,
I think the county's only good One or 2%, Aaron, you remember?
No, $1 or $2.
They got dollars.
Yeah,
That's more than,
more than 3%.
yes, ma'am.
Just ask.
I don't blame him. But we're still working on some personnel issues. We've got a lot of issues with people. And I was gonna say about the Levon thing, is you have sometimes people that's been in a job for 20 years and the title of the job doesn't change. But they have acquired a tremendous amount of skills and knowledge and take on a lot more, but yet the name remains the same. And we have a huge problem in all the departments for people that are working side by side. Someone that's been there 15 years and they again have tons of knowledge, lots of cross training, they can handle all kinds of things. And yet the guy that comes in 6 months later and gets his first bump up, they're making the same amount of money.
Oh, it's not fair.
Right, because years ago, and it was the same pay thing that years ago, the state and any government agencies, they had, you'd bump up 2.5% or so after so many years. Well, we're looking at instituting something like that. I'll have a number for you on what that's gonna mean with how many people it's been here 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And then they bump up and you can make that percentage 1%, 2.5%, 10%, whatever you want to give them. But we really need to start treating our employees like
And
they're
reward-
worth something.
And rewarding longevity,
Excuse me?
rewarding longevity.
Yeah.
Where are we at with the
Well,
evaluation?
I think we would all do that. You just tell us where we gonna get the money. That's the problem.
If I can come up
And the
with it,
real problem is there's no growth here.
well, maybe we won't transfer as much, save as much from the water as we told her, but you know,
Where are we at with the evaluations, Joanne?
I don't know.
the employee evaluations, but theirs aren't contingent on
Yeah.
your rate of pay.
That's where your morale come in.
You know, if you don't mind, those are subjective.
Yeah.
And we've run this issue before. If it was tied to a raise, your supervisor always give you a good rating because he wants you to get the raise. There's no objectivity to most of those. So finding a good evaluation that actually addresses the work performance without making it subjective to the point where everybody just gets a grade. And that's kind of where we're at, trying to recreate it so that it benefits the city to help with retention, morale, and everything else we have issues. Is trying to make sure it's something that's objective, that's graded properly, that's an actual snapshot of what the person's doing. But without making it where everybody feels like they have to give a good rating regardless of what they do. That's kind of where we're at.
And we're just not gonna be there for this budget season. Maybe halfway through the thing, but there's a committee, we just haven't had a chance to meet yet, to start massaging
How
this.
long you wanna go with this budget?
Move on.
I don't have to be at hard, you 6:15.
Oh, my.
Party. It's on.
Tomorrow morning, as you said.
Be waiting on you, Bill.
I think Sunday, yeah, exactly, Sunday over there.
10/16. Consolidated communication. We did
This is the first blush.
We got to have some workshop or something.
What do you want, Bill? Spell it out.
Oh,
Spell it out.
what you mean?
Tell us what you want done. We usually just work it at the evenings, but if you want to meet during the day,
Oh, I don't care. I'll do whatever they.
it's going to be brought back to you every council meeting till
Yeah,
the end of
right,
September.
right.
And the next one's gonna have those longevity increases. So we have some numbers to talk about and we can, like I said, change percentages and all, but it's somewhere to start.
Okay, and on last year, you had what was- you had something worked in and this year it's not worked in and it's kind of hard to compare this year to last year. I wish it could be.
Well, the only difference is at this point, don't have capital outlay involved in the summary page. But you will, but it's also not part of these numbers because it's gonna be paid from a different pocket.
Yeah.
So, but it's every, and you can look at the actuals here and just forget about the capital outlay numbers on previous years, but you've got 3 years of history plus current. And of course, that'll be updated with the July numbers for the next meeting. So we have more accurate information every month that we add to that, to look for your trends. And, you know, we're trying to tweak the city to where it's a good place to work and fair for everybody. Thank you.
Your Honor, the next two items consolidated even detail here right now,
Probably not.
matter what, just recent.
That's mostly about what me and you talked about with them.
We're gonna table that or we'll just. Item 6B and item 6H, we'll just readdress that at a later date. It's about the consolidated. Starlight Fiber network was consolidated. They've had a big shake up in this room. We don't really know what's going on. Okay, agenda. We'll go to two boards. Take them off the agenda for now. There's nobody here to talk about it anyway.
I'll speak just a word on that 6H. If it's profitable, they're not gonna want to partner with anybody. So
It's gonna cost money.
yeah, sure, yeah,
But most of these places, when they put the fiber networks in, they had to partner with somebody to get the grants to install it. What it's saying, basically. I think that's what's been going on with. All that's been going
They've been
in.
running fiber everywhere in the last month.
Everywhere. Swanee, Lafayette, here,
No, I'm talking about both.
everywhere.
Residential and business runs fiber, they're running fiber, they can run one, police department ain't terminated yet, but
They're everywhere.
they're running it everywhere.
Okay, any more comments on this? Now we'll move on to agenda, again, item 6I, we took care of in the beginning. Agenda item 6J, introduction of first reading, ordinance number 1032. Reference to LDR 23-01, increasing the commercial intensive maximum height of structure to 50 feet. That's from 35 to 50 only in CI zoning districts. An ordinance of the city of Perry, Florida, amending the text of the city of Perry land development regulations as amended pursuant to an application LDR 23-01 by the city council, providing for amending sections 4.14.8 entitled maximum height of structures to increase the maximum height of structures from 35 feet to 50 feet and the CI commercial intensive zoning district, providing severability, repealing no ordinance in conflict, and providing an effective date.
Did we get the blessing of the fire department to do this?
We got the blessing that it wouldn't hurt our ISO score.
But how does the firefighters feel about it?
They just need a couple longer ladders.
Yeah.
so-
They need the money for the land.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have the money? For the trucks?
We don't have it for the buildings now that are over 35 feet.
The building, we don't even have anything that would house it.
I know.
We've got 13 buildings or more in these zones that are already above that limit anyway.
So we do agree on this, is gonna open the door for that hotel to get built.
What I'm asking is, could the fire department handle it if they have a fire?
You know, because we don't have a truck for it.
if
Well,
fire
city, but the
department
county
handle these
doesn't.
apartments, they're building if they have a fire.
But the county has
The
a
county
reciprocal
doesn't.
agreement with us too.
The
Well,
county
yeah.
has a ladder.
Reciprocal agreement and,
I
and,
have an aerial, but I don't have a ladder truck.
and I heard they're getting another one. They're getting a lot of.
That's, I heard it was an aerial. but it
No,
wasn't aerial.
I don't know.
They're, you talking
But I had
about, who's the ladder?
county.
They've got one.
That's an aerial, it's not a ladder.
What's the difference?
Can't
The
reach
aerial, you
50.
can spray up high with it and people can't climb it to get to the top. The
You want
ladder
to
truck
rescue
system.
somebody.
Yeah. You'll be able to rescue anybody with that.
Anyway, but I guess that, I mean, they're gonna, I mean, they're new. But next we're gonna follow fire codes, we'll have it, that sprinkle and run dry pipes in it. I've had fire chiefs tell me in the past, they much rather fight a tall building with sprinklers and dry pipes, than they will a two-story building, with nothing. That's what I've been told about people. Everybody's got a different opinion of their evaluation of fire chief. Sir? Not a fire- not a fire chief, about a fire chief, our fire chief.
Yeah,
Maybe it was somewhere else. We were just talking. I was actually talking about the, you get a lot of buildings that have the connections outside, dry pipes for you. Spin the cap off, and hook your truck to it, and start treating water out.
And then there's a tank on site to store the water that's allowed whatever the conditions. Even if we did get a ladder truck today, we don't have anywhere to store it now. You can't leave it out in the open,
I know,
you know, so that's another issue.
I just want to make sure we can take care of it, if we got a problem. That's all.
So that's another issue that we've
And
been
and
trying
you
to.
say we've
address.
already got buildings that are
Yes,
that
ma'am.
high already,
We
so we
do.
need to be addressing the situation at some point.
I'm not sure. We are
It all feels.
exploring opportunities on funding for fire stations, the police department, construction now. Grants and appropriations and everything we can. You know,
or on the city hall in there.
just not
That's right.
big enough to house a fire, a ladder truck.
That's a different grant, but yeah, Separate
That's
buildings.
not my question.
separate building.
So what is the question?
City housing.
What is the question?
Talking about a grant for do this and do this. What about a new city hall?
Well, that's a possibility. We can look at that too.
Yeah.
But you've got to start.
I saw, and I don't have, remember where it was, but they got one for all of it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen one. I've looked at a model of one. From a company that does this. That's all they do is build municipal and public safety buildings. And I've asked them to provide us an expense of what it would cost to build. For a facility like that, so that we know what to look for as far as funding. So you gotta know what you're looking for before you start trying to find the money. And I've been working with a company and it's not an accurate exact number. It's just, you know, a pretty big swag on what it could be, depending on the needs that we have in the city. And then they're working on that for us. And they understand that if it's awarded, they probably won't even get it. But they're part of the project trying to help us get started.
It's possible, we've discussed a lot of things, possible do the public safety building first, and then we've got all kinds of issues with our other buildings here, so City Hall might be stage 2.
But we could, with the right location, you can do it all.
We
You'd have
got
to
the
have,
location.
I don't like fire department being by that railroad track. That's the issue.
It's been there longer than you've been on the service.
I know it has,
works.
but because it's always been that way, doesn't mean it's right.
It works.
Either side of it, you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Further away, the better if it's a derailment.
Huh?
The further away, the better if it's a derailment with a hazardous material issue.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about, is that. We've had derailments right there on the other side of this street. We've had at least 2 with trains off the tracks completely.
You got a sharp curve on the other side.
Yeah.
Of phone company.
Luckily, they were not loaded with hazardous materials when that happened. But we're not always gonna be that lucky. It'd be a good response time if people were still alive to respond.
Anyway, any more discussion on the 52 ordinance?
Motion,
First reading.
we don't have it. Okay. No, okay.
Yes,
Thank you. So how member states, yeah, I guess read the table on that or readdressing it another day.
It'll be over by, as far as I know, she is.
It'll be over by the time we have the next meeting.
If y'all want to say anything about it, say it now.
She didn't say anything on the phone to us.
I'm so sorry, what? So August
The
14th,
town hall meeting.
August 14th is not happening?
As far as I
As of
know,
right now, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is happening.
yes.
Yeah,
From my understanding,
Okay.
per Zoom.
but you can always text her.
Okay.
Maybe they need to talk about it or?
I think she just want to tell y'all weren't invited.
She don't want, that's right. Thank you.
Said they're not involved.
Okay. Agenda item 6L, approval of minutes, July 25th, 2023 regular session. We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second for the discussion. I'd like us to try to clean these minutes up so they make sense. Now, person that's doing the typing can't find their own mistakes, it won't happen.
I have people read them after me.
Well, don't tell me who they are, but you got two right here.
Yeah, let me look at it next time, Brandon.
But, you know, here's, go to the, item 5. It starts talking about it. And all of a sudden it was determined this would be, but it never talks about what's gonna happen next.
Which paragraph is that?
Last paragraph on the first.
About the GovTech?
About the, top of the second page. You talk about what we've done, but we don't tell you, we don't talk about what's gonna happen. And you can't follow that if you just read. If a stranger walked in and wanted to read these, they're lost.
Okay, so you're saying it
You're
should
saying-
say that it's coming back for.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Okay. I can
and,
fix that.
just my, what government are we piggybacking on this computer?
I'd have to look
You don't-
at it.
You don't know how?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay,
There's a bunch of them.
yeah,
There's like 30 of them. in
But-
state.
we gotta remember that strangers may read this.
That is my fault. I was rushed.
We need a nice flow of information. for this.
I'm the one that approved it for her.
Will you get-
I'll stand up and say.
Oh, wow.
If he's still- Well, the main thing is that we know what's supposed to happen next.
Yeah.
Or what did happen, what's supposed to happen next. Because when it's left hanging like that, we don't know. Or somebody else might not know. All right, that was discussion. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, go somewhere.
By breakfast time.
Yeah.
It's got 11 more hours.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes,
Councilmember Landry?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodball? Yes. Councilmember Campbell?
Yes. Okay, agenda item 6M, council to continue discussion on policy resolutions, take any actions deemed necessary.
I didn't do it. I was out all last week.
So, we'll get next week, maybe, or next meeting, maybe. Same minute, John, you got anything?
Yeah. Piece of land somebody wants to sell us, and a piece of land somebody wants to buy from us.
oh, yeah.
Martine with the Casa Grande. Casa Grande wants to purchase this parcel right here, that the city owns.
I we didn't have it.
We got it from Main Street somehow. They said some green space.
People donated it to Main Street. And then when they dissolved, because there was some talk about along the creek there, which is a little far from the creek, but to have a whole green space, eventually move our garbage compound and the garage and all that, and that would be a, waterfront property. For a walking path and all that.
Where is
They
it?
want to buy it.
Where's this?
You know where Casa Grande
Main
is?
Street.
Up across from your radiator shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On the new Casa.
Yeah.
So, where you have the, that's Casa Grande, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's space there.
He's already close to that property line now.
So what is the question? of the
Yeah, that's one
proposal?
thing, that's one of the words.
Yeah.
How do we want to sell it, or do we want to sell it first? And how do we want to sell it if we do?
Well, there's a legal way to sell city property.
It's got to be by ordinance.
Well, you should offer it to all those neighboring
You got
people
to
for a
say,
piece.
advertise. Everybody.
Oh, yeah, all those people, it may affect all of them,
I'd rather do
but
an open auction here in the meeting. Notify all these people. If it ain't gonna be more than
We gotta notify the property
$5,000.
owners.
You could notify everybody the auction's gonna happen.
I just don't
how
think
many
we,
feet is on the highway?
Oh, you'd have
I'd pull the map up.
to pull up the map on there, but just.
I would definitely like to see
Maybe
it.
it got, I mean, we sold property.
There's quite a bit of green space out there.
It's gotta, anytime you sell property, it's gotta be by
Yeah,
ordinance.
there's,
Florida statute.
there's statutory guidance on it.
I don't think the city should just be negotiating with one person. Other people might be
No.
interested.
Because they could all say, I want to split half of it, and they each get their piece and pay their bit of the fees, and that's what we usually do, unless they'll go, no, no interest. So. But then the discussion, do you want to keep green space along the
Well,
canal?
I think our attorney needs to come back and tell us how we can get rid of property.
And do we have any utility reasons?
Well, it's been-
Anything under, I would think so, I mean, that is.
No, I know that bit of woods back there. I know a couple of years ago, someone had a game cam and then showed footage of a bear back there.
We've been in there before.
Well, I didn't show you that.
Pretty
no.
big. Pretty big back there.
You know what their purpose is in wanting the space outside of this, maybe parking or something for the restaurant?
Probably expanding this business.
Yeah.
It'd be good parking there.
Similar to what, I guess, Cribs, some others have done, just want property to extend.
But if it's in the hands of a private person, it's on the tax roll.
True that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what she's researching. We can sell what property we want to, but it's gotta be by ordinance.
You also might want to look at the donation thing, because it just dawned on me. Like the depot, when that was mentioned about to maybe liquidate that, when you first got here. Well, there's a caveat on that. It's not supposed to ever be sold. If it is, that person has to buy that same agreement not to ever sell it. That might be a deed restriction on that.
Yeah, that's the word, I.
And it was donated for green space with what you were saying, developing Main Street.
Developing Rosehead Park West.
Because they were gonna try to make it a trail.
Yeah.
And it would connect 19 with the downtown, which is part of the thing. And you could have your artsy district and all that. Get rid of our ugly compound and move in, all that. Because we do own a lot of land on that. Drew Street, yeah. So,
I guess that's the old railroad, that's probably a private hand now, I'm guessing.
You'd have to pull up the appraiser website.
Yeah.
Do we want to sell it or not?
That if we can.
I know y'all are getting out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's asking if we can sell it tonight, just.
Are you
Council's willing to
interested?
sell it and determine the procedure to get it
I
done.
don't think we know enough about it to,
Say anything.
yeah.
Did you say?
I'm willing to sell this thing, like I said, put it back on the tax rolls.
You gotta find out what the terms of the donation was, if it's deed restriction.
That's the first step.
You gotta tell it, somebody wants what?
Somebody wants to sell us one. That's what I agree.
Yeah.
She won't leave me alone.
She won't leave you alone.
Wow.
She's harassing the admin.
She's right. She sent an email to all
Are you
y'all too.
serious?
Y'all got an email from her a couple days ago.
And then again, what, yesterday?
Yeah.
So what is it?
I sent that one to you.
We have this retention pond or whatever this is.
Oh,
She
yeah,
lives-
that's the- I spent a lot of time on that. pond.
Where is
Yeah,
that?
that's Spring Lake Heights. Spring Lake Heights off 98, Second
That was
Street,
great, Sam.
Sandra Street, Kathleen.
The church is right over there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I grew up.
What church?
So,
I'm so
East of
sorry.
Calvary, a long time ago.
Baptist, oh, Temple of God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's property around there?
is it the one where the animals used to be at?
All I know is.
Where that trailer park used to be at?
No, I don't think that's-
Why would the city be interested in
Yeah,
buying? Why would she-
That street right there above Kelly Foster's Alice Street,
Why don't you sell it to anybody?
She thinks the city might want it because we're landlocked for this piece of property to get access to the retention pond.
But it's a retention pond, and we have an easement to get to it to service it.
Yeah, Center comes off 98,
So
straight down, Alice Street turns. You come up 98, Alice Street turns to the left.
To the
So that's right there where Kelly Foster is, the corner of Alice and Sanders.
Oh, yeah, that's the
The
property
church,
behind.
and the church is diagonal.
Yeah, they used to have a trailer park back there when we first moved in that.
They
neighborhood.
did. Miss King?
Yes.
Leon King?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I spent a lot of time in that pond in the city of area.
Yeah,
That's,
I don't think there's nothing that we can do.
I mean, $4,900 for a quarter acre lot.
Tell her sell it to the public.
That's what she's trying to do. She thinks we might want it, so she's
I would say
pushing
those
us.
neighbors behind her, they probably would want it.
I would, a button.
Doesn't sound like y'all want.
For $5,000?
Was
I'm
that,
pretty sure they buy six.
is that the one saying that keeps us from being landlocked on that pond?
yeah.
I think it's that part. Is there any reason why we need to get to the pond?
To clear it out once in a while.
How do we get
Do
to it
mowing
now?
maintenance.
We're supposed to maintain our,
How do we get into it now?
she said we had the easement.
So I don't know that, that's a Anthony question.
Well, I've been out there and looked. There's there must be a drainage easement, that's a real old drainage easement, that's not showing on these property appraisers. And that's actually fenced off, and we're able to drive on both sides of the little sand drain, have one, or either on the,
I'm gonna tell her if she wants to give it to us, we'll take it, but we're not interested.
No, then we gotta mow it.
All right, and we don't want
but we
to,
don't, we don't.
Get
want
out
to
of the property.
good. That's my answer to you.
I think she's a worker, she advertised.
I mean, she has,
She's tired.
she's been calling me for 3 or 4 months. It's listed on the MLS. It's there. Don't nobody want it. She thinks we might buy it real quick.
Didn't she get them letters in the mail like everybody else?
A quarter
Can I
acre.
sell your property?
Yeah,
I know, right?
It's $1 or something.
Yeah. For half
Get
the
us some more
value.
information on that. On what? That piece right there.
That's it.
What kind of information are you hoping that?
We don't want it.
I don't want it.
Well, it may be that you can't get rid of it.
Why? It said no deed restrictions.
If that is a retention area,
That lot's not a retention area. The
It's
lot
next to
behind
it.
It is retention.
no, the one we own.
Yeah, one
It's
we
a
have
retention.
retention area.
And she said we
She's trying
can.
to sell the one in front of us.
We don't, not in that, it's that.
No.
We just want to make sure that we have an easement.
Well, I got something, she wanted that, us to give that.
And she wants us to buy this from her.
Oh.
So we have access to that.
No, no.
All right, good. Do me.
We don't want to mow it. and we
Next.
don't Get access to the retention.
I don't want it.
Okay,
You got anything to do?
No.
you can sell it. to the public.
Yeah, the only thing, because he was out, I finally had the little get to know Perry thing with our grant consultants that are on a consulting basis, contingent basis, only if they get something. So told them about our size and what we have and what our needs are, and so, and they'll send us things as they think we may be interested. Everything from law enforcement to fire to trucks and water and wastewater and
Parks or whatever.
all of it. We covered it all, yeah, so stay tuned.
So,
Yeah, I just have something really quick. I just want to give an update on the Oakland Road matter that I did and have been able to get with the county and the county has agreed to assume ownership of the road, but just to quit claim deed parcels to each resident who lives on the road. And so I'm trying to get an updated list of who those owners are. So once that's done, then we can enter to hold harmless, but they're no longer rejecting the idea of ownership, but they're only going to assume it to give it away. So lawyers love to come up with ways to make it easier, harder.
We then will own the road.
They would not quit claim deed to us. They would quit claim deed it to the residents, who then, if they're wanting to receive our garbage services, they would need to still indemnify us and hold us harmless for any
The
damage
county's gonna quit claim too.
to the,
Okay.
right, no one wanted to own the road to
Right,
be
yeah.
responsible, so they're gonna,
Why are we involved at all?
because of the utility services, the garbage truck.
Well, they're on the side of the road now, ain't they?
Yeah, we got utilities.
Well,
and everything down that road.
that's what you're trying to
So
avoid.
they want the garbage cans back at the house.
Right, but they were undermining the road and that's,
They've been at their houses forever and all of a sudden.
It was an
got picked up
issue.
on the road.
the road was getting tore up.
Through this process, in order for us not to be held
Yes,
liable for the road.
They fix the road.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
you
that's a
know,
combination, but also, go ahead, I'm sorry.
we lack here, have lacked is common sense. I'm telling you. Tell me, that meter reader goes on private property every time he reads a meter.
We have to access our meters, so there is no other way around it.
I know that, I'm saying, common sense tells you. That's gotta happen. We don't have a hold harmless agreement from 25 customers. Every time,
I think the issue is the trucks tearing up.
no, the issue is
I think it's both.
lack of common sense from the attorney.
What,
Well, what I wanted to say is that in February 2023, when the former city attorney posted asking for residents' participation, there seemed to be the biggest dispute is nobody wanted to own the road. But now that it's been made an issue, I think it's responsible to resolve it, even if there was some, great statement that the councilors agreed that this is stupid, but there needs to be something because it's already been posted out there. And the fact that the county was told is your road. I don't disagree with Councilman Brian's assessment, but it has been made an issue. And once you start making things issues, then you have people like maybe certain people who messed up a car on a sidewalk and they heard that you can get the city to pay for it. Now it's become an issue. I just think, especially since the boatload of quit claims and all that work will be on the county, then all we are, doing is just going through other paperwork, but that is gonna be boring to them since they want this.
Yes, sir.
What do you plan to do after? You can't go on private property.
Oh, I can.
garbage trucks, garbage
It's,
trucks first.
In the course of emergency, I can go on private property.
Always.
it's law.
Okay.
You going out there and pick up?
And I'm
garbage?
gonna just say something, how this all started, we had somebody that lived on that road complained about our garbage trucks on that day as homeowners. Went together and paid for that road to be fixed, that's why it got started, it's because of one person,
So one person stuck the whole
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
That's all it takes, one person.
Well, I mean.
But there-
They,
So then, well, that's how we discovered it's not a county road, it's not a.
But the
The only way
question
to
was
stop
asked,
it was to
Yeah,
stop the garbage
the
truck.
question was asked, when the road gets tore up, who's fixed it?
Right,
Because all the property owners fixed it.
right.
And that's whenever the research on the road began. And it was always assumed it was a city road, but it's not. And there's no record of the county ever accepting the road whenever it was donated to them.
Yeah,
Will it be a city road once they sign a quit claim?
No.
No, ma'am, it'll go back to the joint property owners that actually abut that, and then they can do whatever they wanted with it.
They already own the road.
They do, but there's a record somewhere that says the county owns it,
Right.
but they can't prove that that's county ever accepted
County
it.
would accept.
They attempted to give the road to the county
Yes.
and the county refused to accept it.
Do you remember?
That's not the only one.
But LaWanda can't find it,
They
so
can't
this is
find
how they're
the
gonna resolve it.
that was.
Doesn't
like
matter.
Rock ages.
The county refused to accept it.
Well, they now can accept it and all real estate transactions have to be
They
right.
And the
They're
city's
gonna
not.
accept it and convey it back to the people that donated, basically.
But common sense is definitely acquired
Yeah.
taste, apparently is not as common. But secondly, I just wanted to know, and not to make a really big discussion, because I think it's been discussed before, but just in light of our last meeting where the chief of police was asked to do like a summary of the history of the sundown alcohol laws, I just wanted to note that, Senate Bill 170 and House Bill 1515 was reconciled, and Governor DeSantis has passed what's been called the local ordinance law that now provides, some people feels like it'll threaten local rule, but it'll bolster legal challenges to city and county ordinances where different businesses believe that it is an unreasonable, a financially unreasonable ordinance. It may affect things like time limits on beer sales, noise ordinances, and again, because it's new, it's still going to have a lot of arguments and challenges, but it goes into effect October the 1st. And as we think of things like height differences of potential buildings that would bring revenue, as well as jobs like a Marriott, that to continue to look at the balance of what do we have to service if there's an accident versus the overall value to the community, to add assets and things that would improve business sectors. I just think we should be mindful that a part of what is, I guess, yet to come is that this is going to provide what they're going to call a rocket docket versus like a normal injunction period. And I'm guessing the parties who will be most interested are businesses. So within 90 days of an ordinance passing, if they can make an argument that, and I mean, the judge will determine that it's arbitrary and unreasonable within that 90 days, everything could be stopped. The enforcement of the ordinance could be stopped until that issue is dealt with. And so you could imagine, depending on how deep pockets are, if the business, at least for right now, the way I've read the statute, if they lose and it's cost the city money to prove as the defendants, there's no cost to them. But if they win, then the city could, or the local municipality could be made to pay up to $50,000 in attorney's fees. So when I hear, and now thinking back on different things that have come up at now, and it may be something that we already do on a business impact statement or assessment when it comes to our ordinances. But without there being any money for all this additional work, I don't know how practical it even will be, but because of things like that, there's going to be supposedly a part of the process when there's new ordinances, not old ones, not retroactive. I mean, they can still bring an issue, but you won't be deemed. But in new ordinances, there's supposed to be a business impact statement that's available to the public as to how and if this new ordinance being enacted would affect businesses. So the goal was supposedly to get rid of all these state preemptions, sort of like with the whole, even though ours was a little bit different, the whole idea after not September 11, the pandemic, that, there's all these laws providing that you can't mobile food vendors, whereas different ordinances locally would not allow it. So I don't think that's an unreasonable thing, but the state is having to nullify, or they're feeling they're needing to nullify a number of city ordinances, but I think it will particularly impact smaller localities if it gains traction. But now that it'll be law October 1st, I know someone's going to try, especially if you if you can get your attorney fees back to make arguments that some things are unreasonable and arbitrary and it's hurting their business. But one of the things that will be fun for some litigation counsels is that there's no description in the law as to what is arbitrary and unreasonable. But I'm just keeping that in mind when I think of changes like heights or times, that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Not that we would be one of those examples, because I still think the history of Sunday alcohol laws in itself would suggest that that's not an unreasonable law, but it's just a way to think about when our only answer is, well, this is what we've always done. We have, even though I don't think that would fit well, but the discussion last time about the what was supposed to be a fresh food market, and just the idea of limiting that commerce which I think is totally reasonable when it comes to the type of traction and the purpose. But if we don't have a policy saying what that is, I just, I wouldn't be doing my job, but to mention that, it's gonna be really interesting to see how, if at all, smaller towns are dealt with, because I'm just thinking all it takes is a person or business with deep pockets to make a big deal out of something that normally would not be, because this was not permissible. But it was signed into law. And I would note that the Florida League of Cities have supported it, and places like Sierra Club have not supported it. Because I think one of the big promotions was different wildlife protection type of ordinances that would be like, you can't shine lights this bright because it hurts the turtles. So you can imagine different cultures and different traditions and communities. Like, I can't have my park here, my business, because of turtles. So I think that was the aim. But as you can see, if I have an event space and I want noises after 10, it can blow up into something. So it was just something to be mindful of. Also, my last thing, I did attempt office hours last time, but thankfully no one showed up because I ended up being sick with COVID and didn't even know it. But I still want to just remind you that you can connect with me at most of any time I'm available during the work week, and we can meet at my office. I do have an office that I don't advertise because I mostly deal with the victims, dealing with victim advocacy. It's not private, but I just don't want to advertise that and we were looking at some ideas, until I have a different type of space. If you wanting to meet with me, I don't mind to meet you where you want to meet. I've gone out to the airport strip to meet with council member Kettering, but you can meet with me, and my office is close to the Wells Fargo, so it's not far and it's private. But
We can meet here, couldn't we, or
sure.
set off-
I met here, well, my office hours, I was back there for several hours and no one came. But so that's always available as well. But I don't think I'm gonna do that again unless there's a request, because I was just sitting there for hours and yeah.
Just let them call you.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Thank you, ma'am. One over here, no, oh, yeah, we have started making some progress on some code enforcement issues. Starting with the vehicles. They've been, mostly people have been complying upon requests. There's not a lot of been actions been taken. Now, the code enforcement compliance officer has contacted some folks by phone, and there's some properties that have been cleaned up. If you run by the old hospital, you would probably see that. I saw him out there Saturday night and working. And there's several places throughout town that he's started making some headway. And we're about to pick it up a little bit more.
Wonderful.
I see they were in the heat of the day cutting limbs out of trees over around the school zones today.
They've been working long hours.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I'm out Saturday, pick the limbs up.
Trying to get it all back up.
And
We're just
the
about called up.
striping looks kind of good. One question. That stripe, and I don't really know where he's talking about. Dale's talking about one that's white.
I just talked to him about it earlier. It's
Yeah.
on the one-way to the middle school. The one-way street from center to the middle school. Yeah, that used to be Lafayette. It used to be a two-way and it had yellow lines. Well, something got brought up, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago about it should be white lines. So Chester had it, white line.
No big deal.
Well, it
No,
was
he's
the
saying-
one way then,
Wait.
but there's no reason for it to be a one way now.
Well, it's still middle school and
Yeah.
yes.
And
The
pre-K.
pre-K and
Pre-K.
right.
That way.
The left lane of the one way goes to the pre-K, the
Okay.
right lane goes to the middle school.
And it also goes to the Johnson Strip.
Yeah, it goes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
thinking about the one that goes from
Well,
But Dale thought it needed to be,
in front of the old rock building.
but
There's
That's
one-
it.
he and I
That's the road.
thought
You
that
put a
it is
yellow,
supposed to be wide.
Yellow is opposing traffic, white is same
So
direction.
I'm gonna call him.
Dotted white line is you can cross a solid white line, you can.
while we're doing this budget, we need to get our rate ordinances in line. Now, and I've got John's right here. I believe Ray's shown we can legally adjust your utility rates by ordinance. You can adjust it by ordinance or resolution or motion. But in the city of Perry, it's by ordinance. Period. And we need to get those things.
And you can pick that ordinance to allow it to be set by majority of the board. or
No.
If you change the ordinance,
No, we can't. Though.
you have to go for referendum.
You have to go for referendum, yeah.
So there's a way to do it. It's just the people.
Yeah,
want it
we
to
don't
change.
get into that,
Yeah.
but I clean up that business. And I don't know that we can try, you got in here, put them all in one, we could try doing that, might work.
All the rates in one.
Yeah,
We need to update a bunch of fees for sure,
There's a bunch of stuff that needs to be cleaned up.
bunch of miscellaneous.
And we've been going through and trying to identify that.
I tried to convince John Young
Like people.
that he was spelling school wrong.
You're telling me that I spell right? I want you to tell me where I spelled correct.
But I couldn't convince him.
But I know what you're talking about, what you're referring to, but
Uh,
that was not me. So
No.
you need to publicly say I spell things right.
Say it loud for Aaron.
That's right.
I know what he's talking about.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
That was during your time. That was during Bill Bryan's time.
His time is.
Not Bill Bryan. Oh, yeah.
Ms. Landry?
Yeah, last meeting, Penny, you were gonna get the refrigerators, freezers for the circus park, did you?
Oh, that's an entire story by itself.
So we-
It didn't happen, but we got a single unit refrigerator freezer and it's there.
Okay, it's installed.
You wouldn't, it's a whole story. We're all like really tired now, but it's a whole story.
That's
It's
okay.
ridiculous.
It's pretty bad compliments on that.
Okay.
He took care of, read that in the newspaper.
Oh, my God.
And last time
Supply
we
chain
talked
issues.
about Comcast, is any progress on Comcast?
Yes, the state did away with the franchise agreements for that.
Yeah,
And now when all of us pay our cell phone bills and whatever communications, it goes to the state and the state pays us our portion based on our address database.
but that wasn't the issue, I don't think.
They've done away with the franchise agreements.
Yeah, we don't have, they don't pay us.
I understand that, but that wasn't the issue, I didn't think, I thought the issue was that you couldn't get in touch with them.
Well, that's another issue.
Right.
I finally got in touch with people and got educated, but that didn't help. If we, at least we had a franchise agreement, then we could do like we just did with Waste Pro. But, so now we're back to square one, like, so I have to tell our council member, can't help you. Talk to the state.
Yeah.
But it was a challenge getting somebody to talk to.
Yeah, they got a law passed at some point and just basically took off local entities out of the equation. To everything state level.
It's like communication.
Yeah, big lobby.
Get the robocalls like Waste Pro. Push buttons. You're a 13-year-old.
We need to go to Alexa.
That's right.
I sent an email to John about the trash in Roberts subdivision.
Yes, ma'am. And I emailed her, they should be there either this week, possibly next week, hopefully, if everything goes well. We're almost, that's our last area of picking up this now.
We got one knuckle boom.
Okay, but I don't understand, why would they drive by and not pick it up?
I don't think they drove by. Now, it might have been when they were picking up junk items. A lot of times people see these.
They don't understand.
And they get it confused,
I
but
rode
no
through
trash
there
has been
and
digged up.
For sure, the grass is growing around where, so it's been there a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so when,
I hate to say when, you never know when something's gonna tear up, but
Yeah.
I feel like by next week. it'll be
next
done.
week, well, I told her to give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I emailed her as
Okay.
well.
We had,
Thank you.
this was interesting, we had an incident in Pine Ridge is where it was. They were there picking up, and they got through. A woman that lived there and was watching from behind the house, and when that truck left, she hauled, watch out.
Yeah. I'm telling you, in the areas they just come through, you can go through them and they've already got traction in the holes.
Well, that's.
And a lot of people were behind, and it's due to truck issues.
And it's.
Okay. I got one other thing that I wanna bring up, I brought it up before, I know y'all are gonna haul it. But I've had calls about our drinking water. I don't know about you, but I don't drink city water. I buy bottled water. Because city water's got so many chemicals in it, and I just can't drink it.
It seemed to happen in this past few years.
I can turn my faucet on and the chlorine just takes my head off some days, not every day. But, and they came out and checked it and told me all about that. But, and I know you, like I said, I brought it up before, but other people are bringing it up to me, the fluoride.
There is no more fluoride being pumped into the water as it is now.
Praise the Lord. When did that happen?
About a month and a half ago, I turned off.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you,
Fluoride
thank
is the
you.
only thing I trusted.
Fluoride is actually not at all required for disinfection.
I know, I'm just saying.
And it's not really that good for your bones.
Thank you so much. I had a fella call me and he has a filter that he filters his water through and he can take the core out, filter and change it. He pulled it out and he showed it to me and it was, it was coated that thick with chemicals.
Well, the only chemicals being pumped into the water as it is now.
Yeah.
is chlorine, aqua gold, and at new plant, we have a pre-treatment with hydrogen peroxide that is filtered out there. Those are the only three chemicals being pumped as it is.
He mentioned the word polymer.
Okay. Polymer or polyphosphates. PO4 is what it's referred to most of the time at plant. That's the aqua gold. That is a sequestering agent. That is what coats the pipe walls and keeps them from rusting up and corroding. We do add that chemical. It does not affect in any way the human body. It is not digestible by the body and it passes through.
Okay, so what chemicals are being added now besides the chlorine and the,
Chlorine and aqua gold.
and what?
Aqua gold. That's the polymer.
Because you said high.
Does it sort of like cake up whitish looking?
The white color most people are seeing is usually just a combination of minerals in the water, but
Like limestone?
like lime. And anytime you heat chlorinated water as well in your hot water heater or anywhere in the house, you're going to see that buildup occur. So I would recommend to anyone 6 months to a year, flush your hot water heater. It's just a good idea.
I don't drink hot water. I mean, not out of the faucet.
But a lot of people with their smell or odor complaints are coming from while they're taking a shower and they don't
Okay.
put two and two together with that, but that will make that
Yeah.
occur a lot faster.
That's all I have. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Maybe that smells awful.
What authority did you stop putting that fluoride?
It's not required.
It's not required and I checked with my own.
Check with who?
I checked with the Florida Health Department. We do not have any requirements for them. When we did fluoride testing, it went to the health department, not the DEP.
5 members of this city council voted to put it in. And you don't have the authority to take it out.
Well, I'm glad he did.
I'd like to see the agreement, sir.
It's in the minutes.
Stephanie will look into it.
It'll fit the room.
Well, and I do know that he's right.
And he's not here.
We also voted, when Chester was running the water plant too, because we got a grant for fluoride.
Yeah.
And we had to sign on for an additional 45 years to get the grant. And of course, that's long expired, but that was last handled by council. So.
Yeah, but now we don't have to pay for fluoride anymore, right?
Well, we're saving
Fluoride
money.
is a rather expensive chemical too.
Yeah. And all it is poison we're trying to get rid of.
But the dentist lobbyists would come here and say differently.
Yeah,
I've
they're
heard it
definitely
before.
convincing.
They
As
have.
a little kid, I'm like, fluoride, yay.
When the
Let's
city
try
threatened to
it.
quit adding it the last time,
Yeah.
Oh, I
that's
know.
whenever they came up with this grant funding.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Okay. I just, I have one thing and hate to keep beating the dead horse, but it's come up a few times in the past few months. It came up again last week and it's been kind of bugging me too, but the gas billing error. I keep hearing rumors that some of it was an error, some of it wasn't an error. Is there any way to find out?
It was an error.
The whole thing,
Yes, sir.
all of
It
it.
was a decimal point.
Okay.
Trust me, I know better than anyone.
I
He
can tell
audited
you
me.
there.
He audited all the stuff.
The whole 990,000 was an error.
It went on for a long time, but
Okay.
it went on longer, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And they are making their payments on it.
Good. That's why now to keep hearing these
Yeah.
rumors, if you will.
Yeah.
I guess there's always conspiracy theories about what really happened and so forth. That's why
I'd like, yeah, something burped on my computer or something. And
are y'all smelling that smell back in the air again? From there.
from Buckeyes are.
I haven't noticed it, but I'll write by and check again, but I'm over there quite a bit right now.
I noticed sludge cleaned up.
Ma'am,
The sludge over there has been cleaned up.
You know,
So much better.
Our Bible church and whatever, they're noticing this.
is there a time of day that it's worse?
Like around this time here.
Okay, early morning, late evening?
Yeah, that's all I have. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.